I will also mention, for the benefit of Sean and his group, Wells Fargo does XM lending as well. They're not, UPS Capital does not hold a lock on this, so they do a great job at Wells Fargo. SunTrust does it. SunTrust primarily does it for only their customers, but each bank is different, so check them all out. The differentiating part will probably be expertise and service, not so much price, because we're all basically selling the same.
One of the main concerns years ago that I wanted to explore was the transportation, because it increased a lot, and also all the risk that involved. How that can be resolved, how the company that I select, or the media that I select to transport, how come I can be secure that that's the best?
There are so many, it's almost impossible to say this is the best. Georgia started, Atlanta started with probably about 10 brokers, customs brokers, and we probably have had 148 right now, just in the city. When it comes to transportation, it depends where it's coming from, whether you're going to do it by air, by ocean. Rail is starting to become more popular, where people are shipping, let's say, from China to Canada, and then they're bringing it through the rail to the United States. But for the most part, it's done through ocean and air. The main thing that I can say is that you always want to insure your product with that particular carrier. If you have an insurance, and let's say it's on a boat, and the hurricane hits the boat, and everything gets wet, if you have an insurance, they'll pay back. But if you didn't, you just lost your freight. So it's kind of hard to pinpoint one, because most of the freight is handled through freight forwarders, and you have thousands of freight forwarders. There's main ocean lines, of course, that you can deal with them directly, but most of the ocean lines will probably deal with you if you are a full container than if you have an LCL. I know UPS, they do LCL all the time. We deal with them every day on air mainly. But for the most part, it depends on what are you bringing, but the main thing is to put insurance in your merchandise. Because if you don't insure it, you pretty much
yes, I always think in insurance. That's not the...
But most people don't. You'd be surprised how many people do not insure the freight.
No, that's...
They don't. Because they don't want to spend the extra money in insuring it. So, and we had a problem like that already. A whole container of perishable food was destroyed. He had no insurance, and it's lost. It's gone. And I was bringing another one, and he wants to sort of, for the ocean line not to charge and all that, but they're not going to do it because there was no insurance on the freight.
Something that I would like to highlight from here on is on the Georgia Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, we are starting an international committee. And this international committee is going to have meetings every month and breakfast in the morning. And if you have an interest to be part of the committee, just at the end of the seminar, just bring me your business card, and we'll be more than happy to let you know when will be the next meeting at the chamber. At this point, it will be the 21st of September in the chamber at 8 a.m. And you are more than welcome to attend. And this is important because, particularly for the small, medium firms, it's always good to have feedbacks and people, guys who are doing the same thing. And also through the chamber, we are going to have a lot of resources and network tools to help you to have succeed in your export plan.
I highly recommend insurance.
No, yeah.
You got to think about it like it's
I don't think without
dollar bills
insurance.
in that container.
On that regard, I cannot see without insurance, but my situation is the transportation, because one thing that happens to me is that there was very delayed the time of their release. I don't know how to say this in English, but wasn't the customer ready? And then the time that took to release, I did promotional items.
What did it come
I was not able to produce.
Where did it come from? China?
I don't remember. It was 20 years ago.
Okay. This is what happens a lot of times. I always tell my customers, you have to give yourself a month. Whenever you place an order in China, to the time you're going to get it,
1 month?
Or 1 month. And the reason is because a vessel from China to, most of the vessels from China come coming to the LA port, Ocean, Long Beach, that area right there, New George. Some of them coming to Savannah and Charleston, but most of them stayed on the other side. And then if you have loose freight, which you don't have a full container, that's even going to delay it even more because you're having to split a whole container into 4 or 5 different people. So if customs says, okay, this container has A, B, C, D, I want to look at C, I don't care about A, B, and D, I'm going to hold the whole container. So see, even though your merchandise might not be in jeopardy, someone else's is. And they won't release that container. So now, on our experience, Long Beach, LA, all of those side, like California area, they can take up to 2 weeks to inspect that freight. So time-wise, from China to there is 2 weeks. But then if it's sitting at the port in LA for a whole week, once it's finally released from them, then it's put on the rail. But for that container, for that freight to be put on the rail, they have to fill out a whole container of freight coming to Georgia. So if they have half of the container full, they're waiting for something else to go in there, then you have to wait that extra longer time. Or if they're going to truck it, the same thing. They're going to wait until that truck is full before they move it to Georgia. So for me, China, even though it comes in 2 weeks from the port, from the Chinese port to Atlanta or to LA, the United States, it's really going to take a month to get to your door. That's why I said it depends on what your freight is, whether you want to do air or ocean. Sometimes ocean is cheaper, but it depends on how quickly you need your product. That's the main thing. Coming from China to Charleston or Savannah, it might take an extra week of travel, but at least it's right there. It's a little bit closer to you. So once it gets clear, you're a couple of hours